that's a hard thing because you just have no idea where any of this goes,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you have a feeling, you have a gut feeling, you have a idea, but really, I mean, all of this is it can all go away tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of the reality too with all of this. It's inherent risk. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do, but also the most rewarding and fulfilling because
Mm-hmm.
you are in the driver's seat, and that's the scary part, right? Because it's like there's no manual for any of this, and there's no, you know, you just go and do and make mistakes and grow and learn. But, you know, owning your own business is just the best and the worst thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Hey, everybody. We're back with another episode of the Too Skilled to Fail podcast with your girl, Tanisha Smith, T Smith Experience. I have Jaron Wilson here. He's in the house, technically, really in the house today. I'm very interested in hearing his story, and I want him to share it with you because for him, like me, I am an entrepreneur. He's an entrepreneur. I want to hear about how he got there, where he's going with it. And then he's also a nonprofit organization owner. So we'll talk about that as well. Welcome to the show, Jaron.
thanks. So basically, I own a couple businesses. One is nuclear medicine. We make robotics and, I guess more technology advanced products for the nuclear medicine industry, which, if people don't know, it's the radioactive isotopes that they inject into patients for cancer screenings. The other one here is kind of more random. Here in Vegas, we do event rentals. So we do, I guess, makeshift or standalone curtains and trade shows, conventions, weddings, corporate events, all that kind of stuff. So, and then probably the coolest thing that we do is Project Soul, which is a nonprofit shoe charity that we do for impoverished and disaster relief.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so everything you do is all so different. I'll say that.
Very different.
It's so different. So as you started talking, and you jumped right into it, so I appreciate you doing that. Jumped in everything you're doing right now. I mean, I know there are also so many fun other things and cool things you do. This is amazing that you have these different avenues in your career. What? Let's go peel these layers.
Yeah, where do
That
I
was
start?
a lot. Like, where do we start? Because you're doing so many different things. The nonprofit organization that you're doing, philanthropy. I mean, you're there already. We just talked about our ages and where we're at right now in life, and people start at different ventures on when they want to give back and
32.
do things. How old were you when you started?
I was right out of college, so 23, 24.
Oh yeah, you said it right. My age is 32.
Yeah,
Did
that's
you
right.
say it again?
32.
Okay,
Yeah.
and we're holding
Yeah.
forever. Okay, got it. So right after college at 18, you started the nonprofit.
So I guess you want to just go right into the
Yeah.
So a friend and I, we both. So one of my good friends I grew up with playing basketball and stuff. He lived in Honduras for a couple of years, and so in a third world country, you see a lot of poverty, and so I think everybody kind of at some point when you're exposed to that for a long period of time, just how can we help? How can we, change some of these people's lives, especially that he got so close to so many of them. And so I was in Detroit for a couple of years, and I've traveled extensively in a lot of third world countries too. And so we just got talking and just really just went down that road of, what can we do that would be cool and impactful in other people's lives. And so that was kind of the origin of Project Soul, that it became Project Soul. And so, we just talked about it for a long time, and then we just said, let's do it. Let's go for it. And so, that was 2009, I think, when we, so then we started looking into how to get 501c3 status and all those things. And so that was kind of the origin of that journey. We've done trips all over the world, from anything to, the typhoons, the Philippines and Indonesia, Japan, to, the refugee camps in Syria and Turkey and Greece. And then domestically, we've done Boys and Girls Club from all over the United States, and a lot of the natural disasters here. So, it's been it's been a wild ride.
Yeah. That's amazing. So right now, family wise, it's just you solo. Like you don't have a family that you're taking around with you.
Nope.
So you're kind of venturing off and doing your own thing. I wanted to ask a couple questions when you're talking about how you're going all these different locations and traveling the world, because what I seemed to do when I'm traveling world is I'm seeking out opportunities to help.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so hard to be able to do that. Like as you know, doing all those different refugee camps, there is some work. It's not just like anybody can walk into a refugee and like, hey, I'm here to help. How can I help?
Yeah, it's
There's a lot of prep.
very structured too.
It is very structured, which is really a good thing, right? We want that in there. But for people who really want to go out there and try to help, when I first started to do kind of like help on my own, I literally would do that thing where I'm just walking up. I was in Hawaii one time on a solo trip and I'm like walking up to a botanical garden. I'm like, can I volunteer? Because they're doing stuff and they're like, sure. So 4 hours in, I'm like, oh, okay, I did it. But then I try to do it again in another country with the children, like orphanages. Like, can I bring stuff? And there was a whole process for you to be able to do that, which is great. And I know they do here in the US where you can't just bring food into a park and things like that. So how did you kind of go about making sure you are on the right list so you can get entry into all these places?
So there's a lot of, especially when so we basically, the way I guess kind of works for what we do is we have a lot of really good relationships with a lot of the footwear manufacturers. And so so they have an outreach coordinator. They have a whole team that deals with their philanthropic side of their companies. And so typically when it was something like would happen, they would either we reach out or they reach out and say, hey, you guys going to do anything for this? And so we would ship whatever it is that they, were trying to, they call it commercially non-viable product. And so that's what they would be donating, and it'd be anything and everything. And so we would consolidate our warehouse, and then we'd repack and put it into a shipping container and ship it. If it's internationally, if it's domestically, we put it on a truck and then ship it there. Find out a partner there, like we work a lot with Red Cross, Catholic Charities. There's a bunch of different international organizations that have a really good standing relationship, and they can ship and receive stuff. And so basically, it's a lot of this, depending on how, I guess the poverty relief, you can plan for months and ahead. The disaster relief side is obviously a lot more imminent, and just, people, that just happens, and then you just try and, scramble to put something together. And so from that side, you would have a partnership or reach out who's on the ground, and we would ship it to them. They'd receive it. We'd fly out, go through all the protocol. We have a checklist if we need to do, testing for, any kind of, for any of the volunteers that are coming through. And so that process would go. And then I'm trying to think of how we'd fly out, and then we would just go with them. And so there's a process depending on what it is. Everyone's different, so that's kind of hard to.
So you, as Jaren, as the kid, was that always something you wanted to do, or was that inspiration from your friend who said, let's, hey, I'm doing it, and you're like, that sounds cool?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like how that all, we always enjoyed helping. We're in Boy Scouts and all those kinds of things. And so I think it was ingrained in us early on. I think the thing that everybody relates and resonates with on helping people out or charity and stuff, I always say that it doesn't you don't have to go to a third world country to have that experience. We kind of say in the sphere of your own influence. So in your own community is where you can make the biggest impact. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to go to a third world country to have, that service impact. There's so many opportunities in every community, wherever you live, small or big. And those are, I think that starts, in your own community, and how you can impact and affect that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah. So obviously you went to school at some point whether it was school or some kind of training to do the other type of business that you did. I don't know about the convention business, but you have the nuclear or the
nuclear medicine.
That's just, it's hard to say.
I know. Nuke med
business that you do. What was your plan when you got into school or into the program or went that direction?
You know what? I was so envious of people that like when they were, in kindergarten, they knew what they were going to do when they grew up. I really didn't, I didn't know, I mean, I think you just kind of go down pathways and, I was a lifeguard in high school, the best job in the world, but,
I can see that though.
I know.
Yeah, I can see that.
So
Baywatch Jaren edition.
that's right. So we, I think that kind of just I didn't really have a direction. I ended up going to school for marketing and psychology, which I really enjoyed. But I didn't really want to go down master's and doctorate degree in schooling. And so, that's kind of the origin of a lot of that. And then entrepreneurship and even, I guess the nuclear medicine, those are all opportunities that came much, much later in life, in investing and just, I think investments are being prepared for those opportunities. There will always be opportunities. You just have to be prepared and ready for them when they present themselves.
Right.
And so,
and then there's the risk part about it, being okay with taking the risk to be able to, what do they say? Scared money don't make no money.
Yeah, for sure. And also, you have to, I think the biggest takeaway from all the many different things I've done is, just be very, what's the right word? You just know that industry, if you're investing in things that you know nothing about, that's how you get burned, I mean, and so, just be, I think also too, being in industries that you enjoy or you have interest in, I tell everybody that starts on these little side quests. That's kind of how a lot of that stuff works. You go down a road, maybe that's not the end all road, but it'll open other doors that'll lead down to other pathways, and you just have no idea where all of it's going. So.
Yeah. So I'll jump in, and that takes courage versus, because there's a lot of fear in that.
Oh, yeah.
Some people are just like, I don't have the fear in me, and that was the reason. So some people say, and I use this based on my kids, and people are like, how did you do it with 5 kids? I was like, I just didn't think about it. I just did.
Yeah. Well, out of necessity, right?
Necessity. But even in business, that is also what I had to do. If I was worried so much about everything, okay, I can't leave my job because of this, or I need benefits, and I talk about this so much on this show because it was so hard, but at the same time, I was like, I know how hard it was, but I know how good it feels to be on this other side.
Oh yeah, the reward. I mean, I tell everybody, it's the hardest thing you'll ever do, but also the most rewarding and fulfilling because you are in the driver's seat, and that's the scary part, right? Because it's like there's no manual for any of this, and there's no, you just go and do and make mistakes and grow and learn, but owning your own business is just the best and the worst thing ever. So. But I think when you get on the other side, and it's so much work, and I'm sure it's just like raising kids. It's, it's a labor of love, and I think every business owner treats it like as a kid, you watch it grow and you make mistakes and all those things. And, but the experience is, unparalleled because this is yours, this is your baby. So,
and you've been doing this, so it sounds like your entire career has been full of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, for the most part. I think really started, I think when we were 23ish, 24, we started down the footwear road, and I really have not worked for anybody since. So.
Oh my gosh, but that's just got to be like, so I'm only 9 years in.
Okay.
So I feel like I'm brand new still at it. I'm going to majorly celebrate my 10th year of being in business for myself. I still am in that scarcity mode to where I'm just like at any point, and even sometimes I'm just like, okay, I gotta do something totally different. I gotta try something different because I'm where I'm at. I feel like if I'm stuck here, then I'm just gonna stay here, and I'm not gonna be happy, whatever. So I'm trying to figure that all out while I'm in the midst of like, do I even want to work harder? Do I want to get on that early retirement train? So what does that look like? Retirement look for you in the coming years? Or
I mean, it's a hard thing because you just have no idea where any of this goes, right? Like you have a feeling, you have a gut feeling, you have an idea, but really, I mean, all of this it can all go away tomorrow, and that's kind of the reality too with all of this. It's inherent risk, I don't know if there is a retirement, I think, you just go on to the next thing, you know.
Yeah.
What's the next chapter? I think also having like that work-life balance and just having to find that harmony, because used to be, you know, you just like you would just try and work yourself to death, and that's you're like I'll feel comfortable or I feel safe when you get to this point, and that's not really true, you know.
You're chasing that feeling
Yeah,
forever.
yeah.
And that feeling, I'm gonna tell you, runs faster than I can keep up with.
Oh, 100%. Because you know it's thrilling. I mean, I'm sure it's, you know, I've never done drugs, but like I'm sure it is just like drugs. You get that rush, that feeling, you know, when things go right, or you know, you land that big whatever contract.
Dopamine is a dopamine.
Oh my gosh.
Like we get them. Yeah, we get them for where we're gonna get them from. So what does it say? What's your drug? I'm not working, traveling. Like that's my like that's it. I had somebody ask me one time. He was like, "What are you running from?" Because I travel so much. He was like, "What are you running from?" And I'm like, "Nothing. I'm happy. Like, what am I running towards?" And it's like finding me, finding who I am. And now I am realizing, though, since that conversation was about 2 years ago, I am realizing that finding me, it could be right where I am. And I have to be able to do that, because I kept on saying, like, every time I go out and I travel around the world, I meet somebody new, I have a different experience. And I'm like, I open up another chapter or another side of me. Or I have these aha moments that I did not have with my day-to-day, everyday working and living in the same environment. Even if I go out to different places, it's about being way away from my comfort zone that opens me up, which is crazy enough. So I told myself one time, I was on the back of a motorcycle, and I said, with no helmet on, and I told the story before, in Bali. And I said, I want this feeling right here, wherever I am in life. Even if I'm sitting right here in my home, if I'm in a car, you know, whatever, on a city bus, I want to have this feeling of just, I can release, I can relax. And, so, you know, because I was chasing, I realized I was chasing something, a feeling that I was not trying to get internally. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, that there's in psychology, there's a lot of that. So you have one aspect of changes in your own life. Some of the most profound, I think, as you're like, let's say just here, and you know, when you're in your own world, it's very easy to just to have blinders on, you know, you get in the same routines and all those same things, same people that you know, your friends, family. When you go into another place, it definitely pushes you in different directions, experiences, just see how different cultures, how way people live, you know, the challenges, all those things. So observations aside, you have, when you come back and return from any kind of, you know, trip, let's say, you realize it's different things, you know. Am I doing what I really love, or all those things? There's such a good quote. I'll just paraphrase it. But basically, you know, this, I think it's a part of a journal entry, but basically this girl talks about going, you know, for the first time and experiencing a different culture, to go live and immerse herself in the language and the, you know, culture and all the different things, the food. And then she talks about returning. So I think it was like a foreign exchange program kind of thing during college. So, or study abroad. And so she comes back and she goes and she sees all her friends and family, you know, and they talk about, you know, how she's changed and grown up. And she talks about how she gets back into the routine of things. And she says, she's like, I want to experience what it's like to get lost, you know, where people speak the same language and not the verbal, not English, not Spanish, not Mandarin, but the same language of what it's like to go get lost in a city, to go immerse yourself in culture and all those things. And so she says that, you know, she's going to chase that feeling for the rest of her life. And that's kind of, that resonates, right? Because there is something about going on your first trip, especially like solo. I mean, there is just nothing more scary, but most growth comes from that. Yeah. Because you're so much, you just realize how tiny you are in this world, you know, and how there's just so many different ways to live life, especially when you go, to Europe or Central South America or Asia. Like
Mhm.
there's so many different ways to do things, and I think that just really helps.